cars, there's no reverse because you have to get out of the car and go around to the reversing handle, pick up the car and turn it around and then get back in.
They drove, they turned heads, they made 0 sense. These are the 10 weirdest cars ever built, and trust me, you won't believe they actually existed. Number 10, Ferrari 512S Modulo, 1970. Imagine a car that looks less like something you'd drive and more like something you'd summon from another galaxy. That's the Ferrari 512S Modulo, a concept so strange it made even seasoned engineers pause mid-sentence. Designed by Pininfarina in 1970, the Modulo looked like a UFO that decided to join the Monaco Grand Prix. Its body was a single flowing curve with no visible separation between roof, sides, or fenders. Even the wheels were half covered, giving it that eerie hovering effect, like it should be gliding, not rolling. And here's the kicker, it had no doors, none. Instead, the entire canopy, windshield, roof, and rear glass slid forward on rails to let the driver crawl in. Parallel parking it, you'd better hope you left enough space in front just to escape. Under that bizarre shell sat a 5.0-liter V12 engine originally built for Ferrari's Can-Am race cars, producing over 550 horsepower. It wasn't just weird, it was overpowered art. The Modulo could theoretically hit 220 miles per hour, though few dared to test it. Between the claustrophobic cockpit and its low ground clearance, you didn't drive this thing, you wore it. Though it never reached production, the Modulo became one of the most iconic concept cars ever made. Restored decades later by James Glickenhaus, it still appears at automotive shows, and proof that even Ferrari once asked, what if our next car came from outer space? Number 9. BMW Isetta 300, 1955. Some cars look odd. The BMW Isetta looked like a breakfast appliance on wheels. Born in post-war Europe, when fuel was scarce and practicality was everything, BMW licensed the Italian-designed Isetta in 1955, a microcar so small it made go-karts look spacious. It wasn't just weird because of its size, it was weird because of how you got in. Instead of opening a side door, the entire front of the car swung open. Steering wheel, dashboard, and all. The driver and passenger stepped straight through what was essentially the windshield. Parallel parked too close to a wall? Congratulations, you're stuck inside your own car. Under the rear hatch sat a 298 cubic centimeter single-cylinder engine making just 13 horsepower. It could reach a thrilling 53 miles per hour, downhill with luck and maybe a tailwind. Inside, 2 people could squeeze shoulder to shoulder as long as they were close friends and didn't mind touching elbows for the entire ride. But here's what makes the Isetta legendary. It saved BMW from bankruptcy. Over 160,000 units were sold, proving that even something shaped like an egg can hatch success. Today, collectors pay small fortunes for restored Isettas, and they've become cultural icons, the definition of so weird it works. Number 8. Citroën Karin, 1980. Picture this, it's 1980 and Citroën decides the future of cars should look like a pyramid. Enter the Citroën Karin, a concept car that could have easily doubled as a prop in a retro sci-fi movie. The Karin's entire body was shaped like a glass and metal triangle, with the driver sitting dead center, alone, and slightly elevated like a commander in a cockpit. 2 passengers sat diagonally behind on either side, forming one of the strangest seating arrangements in automotive history. A literal triangle of confusion, and that's just the start. The dashboard was built into the steering wheel, which didn't even turn like a normal wheel. The outer rim rotated around a fixed center hub. The windshield was so steeply angled it was almost horizontal, making visibility optional. Inside, everything was brown. Brown leather, brown carpet, brown plastic, like someone had dipped the entire interior in hot chocolate. The doors opened upward like butterfly wings, and despite all the talk about aerodynamics, it looked more like a futuristic toaster than a car. Citroën claimed the design was about reducing drag and exploring new geometry. The world, however, saw it for what it was, one of the most geometrically ambitious failures ever conceived. The Karin never made it to production, but its unapologetic weirdness earned it a place in design museums and concept car history books. Number 7. Tatra 87, 1947. Long before Tesla made aerodynamic design cool, the Tatra 87 was already slicing through the air like a silver bullet from another dimension. Built in Czechoslovakia in the late 1940s, this car looked like it belonged in a science fiction movie rather than a post-war street. Its most striking feature, a giant dorsal fin running down the center of the rear, like a shark built for land. The body was sculpted for wind efficiency, giving it a drag coefficient of just 0.36, which even many modern cars still struggle to match. Under that smooth, teardrop-shaped body was a rear-mounted air-cooled V8 engine, an odd choice at the time, since most cars had their engines up front. The design gave it incredible speed for its era, topping 100 miles per hour, but there was one problem. It handled like a dolphin on roller skates. The Tatra 87 became infamous for being both fast and dangerously unstable. In fact, so many German officers reportedly crashed them during World War II that Nazi command allegedly banned their use. Whether myth or fact, that story helped cement the Tatra's reputation as the beautiful car that killed too many of its drivers. Today, collectors and historians hail the Tatra 87 as a masterpiece of early aerodynamic engineering, a weird, wonderful blend of brilliance and bad ideas that was decades ahead of its time. Number 6. Stout Scarab, 1936. Before anyone dreamed up the modern minivan, one man built it. Decades too early. Meet the Stout Scarab, a car that looked like a metallic beetle from the future, but rolled out all the way back in 1936. Designed by William Stout, an aviation engineer who helped develop the Ford tri-motor airplane, the Scarab was unlike anything on the road. Its smooth, rounded body had no running boards, no separate fenders, and no grille. Just one continuous aerodynamic shell. It was the first car to prioritize interior space over style. Inside, it was pure science fiction. A flat floor, movable seats, and even a fold-out table turned the cabin into a mobile living room. Passengers could swivel their chairs to face each other, something you wouldn't see again until minivans of the 1980s. The engine sat in the rear to free up space, and it rode on independent suspension, a luxury unheard of at the time. But innovation came at a price, about $5,000, when a brand new Ford cost only $500. Adjusted for inflation, that's over $100,000 today. Only 9 Scarabs were ever built, but their design quietly influenced everything from the Volkswagen bus to modern family vans. Number 5. PLP 50, 1962. If the Citroën Karin looked like a spaceship, the PLP 50 looked like something that escaped from a kid's toy box. Built on the Isle of Man in 1962, this tiny 3-wheeled car still holds the Guinness World Record for being the smallest production car ever made. And when you see it, you'll understand why. It was just 54 inches long, 41 inches wide, and 47 inches tall. In other words, you could literally park it under your office desk. There was one door, one headlight, and wait for it, no reverse gear. If you wanted to back up, you had to step out and physically drag the car by a small handle on the back. Under the hood, or rather, under the seat, was a 49cc scooter engine that made a thunderous 4.2 horsepower. Top speed? Around 38 miles per hour, assuming a gentle downhill slope and an enthusiastic tailwind. But here's the thing, people actually bought these. Peel sold about 50 units, mostly to urban commuters who just wanted something practical, cheap, and weird. Today, the P50 is a cult icon, celebrated for its unapologetic absurdity. It's been featured on Top Gear, where Jeremy Clarkson famously drove it through an office building. Because why not? The PLP 50 proved that you don't need power or speed to make history. Sometimes you just need to be small enough to fit inside an elevator. Number 4. Dymaxion Car, 1933. If Leonardo da Vinci had designed a bus, it might have looked like this. The Dymaxion car, created by visionary inventor Buckminster Fuller in 1933, was one of the strangest and most ambitious of vehicles ever conceived. This 20-foot long, teardrop-shaped machine looked more like a Zeppelin that forgot to fly. It had 3 wheels, 2 up front and 1 in the back, with the single rear wheel doing all the steering. The result? It could pull a U-turn in its own length, but at high speeds, it handled like a drunk shopping cart. Fuller claimed it could reach 90 miles per hour and seat 11 passengers, while achieving 30 miles per gallon. Astonishing numbers for the 1930s. But reality wasn't quite so kind. Its unique design made it incredibly unstable. In one tragic test, a Dymaxion flipped during a demonstration, killing a driver and effectively ending its production. Still, the Dymaxion was decades ahead of its time. Its streamlined body predicted the shape of future cars, buses, and even airplanes. Fuller dreamed of one day adding wings to make it fly, and he meant it. Only 3 Dymaxions were ever built, but they remain a symbol of unfiltered creativity, proof that genius and madness often share the same steering wheel. Number 3, Amphicar Model 770, 1961. Most cars fear water. The Amphicar Model 770 drove straight into it. Built in West Germany during the early 1960s, the Amphicar wasn't a concept. It was a fully street-legal amphibious car that could drive on land and cruise across lakes. Its name came from its stats: 7 knots on water, 70 miles per hour on land. Under the rear deck sat a 1.2-liter, 4-cylinder Triumph engine that powered the rear wheels. And with a lever pull, switched to dual propellers for water mode. Drivers could literally drive down a boat ramp, splash in, and keep going. Steering was handled entirely by the front wheels, which worked as rudders once afloat. It sounded like the future, until people actually tried it. While the Amphicar could swim, it wasn't exactly graceful. Water leaked in, steering was sluggish, and with waves higher than 6 inches, it handled like a bathtub in a storm. Still, it captured hearts with its goofy charm. Only about 3,800 Amphicars were ever built, most of them sold in the US, where adventurous owners used them for weekend joyrides and parades. President Lyndon B. Johnson even loved pranking guests by pretending to lose control of one while driving into a lake. The Amphicar remains one of the most lovable engineering oddities of all time, not because it was perfect, but because it dared to float when the world told it to sink. Number 2, Aurora Safety Car 1957. Before airbags, crumple zones, or seatbelt laws, one man tried to build the world's safest car and accidentally created one of its weirdest. Meet the Aurora, a 1957 prototype so bizarre that even sci-fi movie directors might have said, "Tone it down." Designed by Father Alfred Juliano, a Catholic priest with a passion for both faith and engineering, the Aurora was meant to protect passengers from every possible danger. Its bubble-shaped body featured foam-padded interiors, a roll cage, and even a safety front end designed to lift pedestrians onto the hood instead of running them over. Sounds noble, right? The execution? Not so much. The Aurora looked like someone had melted a school bus and glued fins to it. Its bulging windshield distorted the driver's vision. The fiberglass body panels didn't fit together properly, and the hydraulic lift system for the seats barely worked. It was part car, part Frankenstein. Powered by a massive Oldsmobile V8, it could run, barely, but weighed so much that driving it felt like steering a submarine on land. Only one Aurora was ever built, and it cost the priest nearly everything he had. After it flopped, the Aurora vanished into storage for decades until it was rediscovered and restored in the early 2000s. Today, it stands as a gleaming reminder that even the best intentions can produce the strangest results. Number 1, Sparrow Autobau 1989. Some concept cars look weird. The Sparrow Autobau looked like it broke every law of geometry just to exist. Unveiled in 1989 by Swiss designer Franco Sbarro, this experimental supercar was what happens when imagination completely overrides practicality. It was built as a one-off creation to celebrate speed, symmetry, and sheer madness. And it delivered all three. At first glance, the Autobau looked like something you'd find in a video game cutscene. Low, wide, and angular, with a transparent canopy roof that opened forward like a fighter jet. But step closer, and the real insanity begins. The car had 3 seats, with the driver sitting dead center, just like a Formula 1 cockpit, and 2 passengers slightly behind on each side. It was powered by a 5.0-liter, 12-cylinder BMW engine pushing around 400 horsepower, all while looking like it could transform into a spaceship at any moment. And it didn't just look strange, it drove strange. The canopy trapped heat, visibility was minimal, and the steering felt more like piloting a jet than driving a car. But that was the point. The Autobau wasn't designed for comfort or convenience. It was designed to shock, inspire, and defy logic.